Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Sheldon, and this is Behind the Enthusiast. Today, we are going to be doing some motorcycle content. However, it is going to be story time, and that is because as of today, a week ago, on a Sunday night, I was out on my bike, my Pan Am, and I went to my favorite spot, and, well, I can tell you guys in case you are interested, but my favorite spot is the Port Dalhousie Marina, the lighthouse side. Really calm, relaxed. The beach is on the opposite side. It's really noisy, and I don't really like it over there. So I'm basically hanging out with the older group, older generation. A lot of older people walk in there. Just enjoying the simple thing in life. Enjoying each other's company. Just having a really chill time, and I absolutely love it. Now, at the time, I was walking down the pier, just enjoying it, right? And so I'm in a good mood, right? And I was texting someone at the time who has been pretty important in my life. To me, very valuable. And I texted her before I was leaving, saying like, hey, I'm going home now. And I noticed that there was lightning. So she had said two things to me. The first thing she said to me was, be safe, obviously. And the second thing that she said to me was, text me when you get home. Now, as a rider, as someone who, obviously wants to go home safe, if you have someone in your life who cares that much about you and says, ride safe, text me when you're home, that is great. And I'm not saying that, the way I ride changes all that much when someone says that to me, but it is definitely a really nice gesture. It's something that I would want to hear from a partner of mine, friends, family members. Doesn't really matter. But anyone who really values me and, sees me as important in their life, I would hope that they'd be saying that to me if I'm telling them I'm out riding. And so this particular person, she had, said these things. And so in my mind, I'm like, all right, I am going home. I'm going to be doing the speed limit. I'm going to be, shoulder checking. I'm going to be doing everything, and be very, very careful. Now, something to keep in mind, this was at about 8 p.m., I believe, and sunset was, I don't know, shortly after 7, I guess. But by the time I was actually getting back onto the bike, it was already dark. So here I am on the Pan Am. Now, keep in mind, the Pan Am has LED lights. And I'm also wearing my high-vis gear, so my jacket, gloves, and helmet, and goggles. So really, on a contrasting bike as well with the white and the blue, I'm pretty noticeable. Let's make that, let's state that right now, okay? So I got these text messages, like, I care about you, be safe type of deal, get on the bike. I'm riding along, and literally, I would say, after pulling out from that pier, like there's a road that you go down, so it's a very short road. But right after pulling out of that road, I would say within 2 to 3 minutes down the road, that is when I got into a very hairy moment. Now, I was going down a 4-lane street. So on my side, obviously, I'm in the right lane. In the left wheel track is where you're supposed to be. And so I have a lane to my left, which is completely open. No one was around me. I was going by a car dealership, and I had just gone through an intersection. And so on the opposite side, you have 2 lanes as well. Now, there was a vehicle coming towards me, making a left-hand turn. Now, if you are a rider, you know exactly what I'm about to say. Yes, left-hand turners They're horrible. They turn in front of you, and a black SUV tried to introduce me to their passenger door. Yeah, they were turning into a plaza, which was on my right. Now, in that moment, obviously, I'm thinking, oh boy, this is not good. And obviously, my options were pretty slim because, well, the speed limit through there, I believe, is 50 kilometers per hour. So regardless of whether it was 50 or 60, I was doing the speed limit that was posted there. So I'm going pretty slow, let's be honest. It's not like I'm on the highway or a country road doing 80, 100, whatever. I'm going city limit speeds, right? And this person, kind of hard to gauge how far away they were, but with them being in their lane and turning over, I mean, I could brake, and do an emergency stop and hope that I don't lock up the brakes. I got ABS on the bike, so that wouldn't be a big deal. But the last thing you want to do is put on the brakes and tuck the tire and go down, right? You don't really want to do that. So the best thing for someone on a motorcycle to do is point and shoot. So basically, look for your escape route and get out of there. Now, this person was going relatively slow, so I guess that was to my advantage because I was able to see them, and it was kind of hard to tell how far away, because obviously you're moving, and in that moment you're not trying to like calculate how far away are they, right? So I can tell this story later. But let's just say they were 3 car lengths away, maybe. And it was enough time for me to perceive the danger. So what I did was point and shoot. So I pointed to the right track of my lane. So keep in mind, I'm in the left track of the right lane. So I have a decent amount of room, right? There's no one around me. So I didn't have to worry about somebody coming up behind me or anything while I'm doing any maneuvers. So literally I lean the bike over, and when I say point and shoot, you point the bike where you want to go, you're looking where you're going, and you shoot. In other words, you accelerate. So you accelerate through the safety zone and out of the danger zone. Now, as I was passing them, I guess I had maybe 4 feet between me and them by the time I actually made my maneuver and accelerated through. I definitely gave myself a lot of room, and it kind of looked like they had noticed me the last possible second and actually stopped in the left lane, which was obviously good as well. Now, keep in mind, slow speeds, so I'm going, slow. They are also slowing down, so they're maybe doing 10 or 20, right? So with me accelerating, I don't know how much, but accelerating through, again, I couldn't really give you guys any numbers, but I was able to navigate safely through that because they were slowing down. Even though they were going to come into my lane, they were slowing down. And at the last second, it looked like they noticed me and actually stopped. And I was able to accelerate because had I tried to slow down, I very well, or even like if anything at all, maybe I had left, the pier a little bit later or a little bit sooner, things could have been totally different. I might not even be talking to you right now about this. So I just feel like I'm very blessed in that moment that I had enough time to react and do exactly what I needed to do. It was really textbook, exit strategy, worked out great for me, and I was able to get home safely and send that text message. And yeah, it's not a good feeling when you get into close calls like that, but for the rest of the ride, to be completely honest, every single car that was in those opposite lanes coming towards me, making a left-hand turn, I was absolutely paranoid for the rest of the ride. And so For those of you who know about the adaptive headlight on the Pan Am, basically once you get past a certain degree, it's like 10 degrees or 12 degrees or whatever it is, the extra light above the headlight actually shines on. So when you're turning left and right, leaning, it's basically a safety feature on the bike, which is supposed to allow light on the inside of a corner, basically just for added visibility of the road. And so I was kind of getting in the habit of leaning the bike as I'm coming up to the intersections with cars waiting to turn left in front of me. And so I would go back and forth to kind of flick the light on and off. And so that was some added visibility, which would make it really obvious that I'm coming towards them. And thankfully, nobody did anything else. However, when it came time to merge onto the highway, people bunched up really, really badly. I'm not entirely sure why. People just forgot what the accelerator pedal was. And I'm looking behind me, you know, trying to like see, because I was kind of paranoid that someone was going to rear end me. I was like, oh man, I've already had one close call. I don't want any more, you know, close calls. Anxiety is going to go through the roof. But you're on a bike, right? You're supposed to be having fun, but you do have to keep your head on swivel, right? You got to be constantly looking around. You got to be careful. You have to pretend like no one is going to see you. I'm sorry to upset people by saying that, but it's advice that I've been given. And it's valuable advice. It really, truly is. You have to pretend like everyone else on the road can't see you. Pretend like you're invisible. So put yourself into space cushions. Basically, you know, if there's a little pocket where there's no vehicles, scoot over into that area, that type of thing. And that's essentially what I had to do. I got onto the highway as quickly as I possibly could have. Obviously, shoulder check, nobody's coming. And the three cars were bunched up. I accelerated by them, got into my little space cushion, moved over to another one, and got home fine, right? It wasn't a big deal. So, two hairy moments. One worse than the other. One where I really had to be careful about how I was navigating that, you know, close call of the person clearly not paying attention. And because it was at night, black SUV, couldn't see who the driver was, couldn't tell you if they were young, old, it does not matter anyway. They just weren't paying attention, didn't see me, and almost caused an accident. But thankfully, because I'm a very, very careful rider, and I do have the forethought and, you know, a lot of videos that I've watched from Dan the Fireman, for anyone who is interested in learning how to navigate these situations. Dan the Fireman, great content because of him. And of course, some of my rider training as well through learning curves. If anybody's interested in getting their license, check them out. All of that information saved me from a really bad situation. And of course, that text message that I had just before, being very mindful of my positioning on the road, trying to get home safe so I can send that text message like, hey, I just made it home, I'm safe. However, had a bit of a hairy moment. And, you know, it's really nice to know that someone cares about you. Someone is praying for you, you know, whether they believe in God or not, it does not matter. If they're saying that they're praying for you and they're like, oh, you know, God was watching over you, or an angel was watching over you, whatever it is, you know, if I have a guardian angel, which I'm pretty sure I do, you know, you have to be thankful for being out on a bike and getting home safe. And part of that process is just remembering all the information that is out there on how to be a safe rider, how to navigate, you know, situations where you need to get yourself out of danger. And I wanted to share this story because I've had several close calls over the years, but never one that really required me to do as much work as I did on that night. You know, point and shoot, escaping the danger zone, You know, most of my other ones, you know, the person would start to pull out and then see me last second and I wouldn't have to move, right? Maybe I would slow down, but very, very minimal defensive measures on my part. But this one was the worst. And I'm really, really hoping that I never have to deal with that sort of thing again. Obviously, it's late in the season. I've been riding for a little bit now and trying to squeeze in a few more rides during the day because at night, obviously, my riding gear and the LED headlights simply aren't enough for people who aren't paying attention. You know, I don't know if they were going to Tim Hortons. I have no idea, like a coffee shop or whatever. I have no idea why they were pulling in that plaza. I don't really remember what was there, but yeah, really grateful, really thankful for, you know, the knowledge that I possess and the skill that I have to navigate those situations. And of course, I'm also glad that I'm able to share these stories, or this particular story, with you guys. And I hope that you guys learn something from this and find it valuable, because let's be honest, I want you guys to be safe. I want you guys to be out riding bikes safely. And if someone puts you in a dangerous position, I hope that you figure out a way out of it. And for any of you who are talking to people who are riding, keep in mind, if someone says, hey, I'm on my way home, or hey, I'm going out for a ride, if they're texting you or you're talking to them, wish them a safe ride. Tell them, text me when you get home, call me when you get home, I'll see you when you get home. Always take that, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever. Take a moment to wish them a safe ride and wish they come home safely. And if you're religious, say a prayer for them, whatever you got to do. All right. It's really appreciated for riders. So riders and non-riders, please do that for your family members, friends, whoever is out there in your life. And yeah, it happens. It does. And I just hope that it doesn't happen to you guys. But if it does, I hope you're able to navigate those situations and be able to share them just like I'm doing right now. So that's it for me in this one. Again, story time, but it is motorcycle content. Really, really appreciate all of you guys. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers right now. I'm really hoping to get things back on track. I got a lot of catching up to do. So please be patient with me. I really appreciate your support, guys. Comments, smash the like button, do all that good stuff. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss out on future content coming up very, very soon. I give you my word, I'm working on stuff, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.